How are you guys doing? Today is Wednesday, the 15th of June. Yep, and I want to talk about something very important, and that is the role of micronutrients. The last 10 days, I think I've watched about 6 or 7 videos that talk about micronutrients and mention the phrase, make sure you take your micronutrients, but I've never actually heard properly someone say, what do these micronutrients do and why do we need them? So I want to break down three main functions of micronutrients that I personally like to cover through my micronutrient intake, whether that is through my multivitamin or whether that is through my diet itself. And these are essentially three functions that are mostly associated with dieting and cutting down. The first one is, of course, immune system function. The second one is healthy bone and muscle function. And the third one is antioxidant activity and healthy energy production. These are the main three functions that I account for when I take in my micronutrients, and that's the three main themes around which I design micronutrients. It's going to be a bit of a raw clip, and there's going to be a bit of science going there, but it's really important, and it might be quite helpful. So, hope you enjoy the video. Okay guys, now I want to talk about the first function of the micronutrients that I find to be very important, and that is their role in the immune support and helping our immune system be essentially stable and be powerful, whether that is when you're bulking or when you're cutting or dieting. And because now I'm dieting, I want to relate that back to the dieting aspect of fitness. So now that I'm dieting, essentially, imagine that don't imagine, of course I do, I've got like a lot less energy because I don't take in as many carbs, I don't take as much food generally, and as a result my system does not have as much energy available to provide to my immune system for healthy cellular function. Like every other function in the body, the immune system functions with cells. So there's these called T cells and B cells that are part of your immune system, and they circulate in your body through your blood, and they identify what are known as antigens. Antigens are essentially molecules or proteins released by the other foreign cells, such as bacteria, and are actually their identity. They identify these other foreign bacteria, and therefore when your T cells and B cells pick up on these, they trigger what is known as an immune response and go battle those bad bacteria. But what happens is that when you take a hit in terms of your energy, and you have lower energy and lower food, your cells will not be able to carry out that function as well, and therefore you need to find other ways around it to enhance that metabolic function, to enhance that pathway in your body, to make sure that you don't get sick like some weeks out of your show or your photo shoot, which would be a real shame. So what I like to do is I like to provide micronutrients, and more importantly vitamin A and vitamin C, that provide a healthy healthy immune function, and of course healthy skin through vitamin A, which is you consider your first barrier against pathogens, that is bacteria and other harmful little organisms that are trying to get into your body. So how do I like to get my vitamin and vitamin C? My main sources is through my diet. I love to go through berries. I love my blueberries, I love my raspberries, my strawberries. They're really good source of vitamin C, and therefore they're a staple to my diet. At least once or even twice a day I will take in some form of berries, and at the same time I also like to take in my multivitamin. My multivitamin will provide me with 100% or even more than 100% of the vitamin C that I need, and this way I saturate my body and make sure I've got a healthy immune function. So I hope this helped, and now let's move on to the second function, which is essentially healthy bone and muscle function. Okay guys, now I think we should talk about the second function. That's one that probably interests most of the people, and that is healthy bone and muscle function. What do we mean by healthy bone and muscle function? What we mean is that firstly, essentially, imagine that if your body is a building, the skeleton, or what holds up that building is your skeleton, and that is your bones. And if your bones are not strong enough, you won't be able to perform in the gym, you won't be able to carry out your daily routine, you'll generally be always collapsing, you won't be strong, and that could potentially lead to further bone-associated problems in the future, such as osteoporosis, etc. So one very important way of treating this is by taking in micronutrients that support the structure of your skeleton. And at the same time, when you carry out exercise, when you walk, when you do anything, your muscles constantly contract and relax, contract and relax. And that actually requires to be supported through energy and through micromolecules, which are your micronutrients that support proteins that carry out these functions. So of course, once again, we said that when you're dieting, you have no energy, so your muscle contraction is not going to be good because of the lack of energy. However, you can saturate them with calcium and vitamin D to enhance that ability to contract. Calcium is actually the mineral that gets released by a part of the cell known as sarcoplasm in the muscles that allows the muscle to contract when essentially a nerve impulse arrives. So basically, when the body tells the muscle to contract, the cells in the muscle release calcium and therefore cause the muscle to contract. It's very important to make sure that your calcium levels are high, and you do that by essentially consuming a lot of the green vegetables have very high calcium, including broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, etc. Any of these would be a great source of calcium, so including 2 vegetables a day is optimal. At the same time, once again, multivitamins and multi-nutrient supplements, which are very important. I personally do not even consider them performance supplements, provide you with a very good source of calcium and therefore allow your muscles to contract very healthy. Ever since I've been very good with my calcium. I've noticed that even in the gym I can feel my muscles contracting so well, functioning so well, and therefore seeing some really good activity in the gym as well. And now vitamin D, also calcium by the way, is also one of the building blocks of bones, and therefore good calcium supplementation, whether that is through your diet or through essentially nutritional supplements, will also allow for good bone structure. Vitamin D allows for really good absorption of calcium through in the muscles, in the cells, and as a result will essentially enhance the function of that ingested calcium, the calcium that you basically took in. So having a really good vitamin D source is very good, and vitamin D can be essentially obtained through a lot of fish. It can be obtained through a lot of vegetables as well, while at the same time through your multivitamin supplement. Vitamin D also allows with better energy metabolism and will help you feel a lot more energized. So there you go. For better muscles function and better bone structure, vitamin D and calcium should be your 2 main go-to nutrients. So now it's time to talk about the last and one of the most important to me functions, and that is antioxidants. Now, everyone talks about antioxidants, and we mention antioxidants on a day-to-day basis without actually fully always understanding what it means. I'm sure a lot of people do know and do understand, but until some time ago, even though I'm a biochemist, I was not 100% sure what they actually antioxidants do. So, look at this. When your cells function, and especially when you're doing some high-intensity exercise, and you're going at it hardcore, such for example some high intensity cardio, some heavy weights, some high intensity workouts, automatically your body is actually going through a very high energy producing phase. That energy is produced in a compartment within the cell known as the mitochondria. This is essentially known as the mitochondria is the energy factory of your cells. But what happens is that, like cars produce heat, the same way that cars produce a lot of heat when they function very hard and they go fast and things, your mitochondria also produce some side potentially damaging products. So let's go back to that car analogy. When essentially a car goes really, really fast or it works really hard, it produces a lot of heat. And that heat, if it's not cooled down by the cooling system of the car, it could just cause the engine to explode, it can break down the car, and that exactly is how mitochondria work. When the mitochondria work really hard, produce a lot of energy and a lot of thrust for you to go forward, they also produce what are known as reactive oxygen species, also known as free radicals. And these free radicals can actually react to the membrane of the mitochondria through what is known as lipid peroxidation, and actually cause the mitochondria to be damaged. And when the mitochondria become damaged, they essentially stop producing energy, so you feel less energetic, and they also release what are known as pro-apoptotic factors. Pro-apoptotic factors are essentially some molecules that tell your cell to commit suicide. And as a result, this results to both loss of muscle and leads to loss of energy. And that's why it's very important to make sure that you neutralize these reactive oxygen species or free radicals for easier terminology. So some of the most important ones, or the most important one is vitamin E. Vitamin E is found practically in so many sorts of foods. A lot of your fruit contain vitamin E, a lot of vegetables contain vitamin E, and that's why you must make sure that you get at least 1 to 2 fruit a day and at least 2 vegetables a day, or in 2 servings. And at the same time, going back to our good old friend, your multivitamin. Your multivitamin provides a lot of vitamin E, and that is very good because it really kind of builds up your antioxidant activity in your cells. And then at the same time, you also have some other ones, as for example, rhodiola rosea is another plant extract that allows for amazing antioxidant activity. I've never seen it in many supplements before. However, what I do sometimes on my intra workout, I like to actually take some gold standard BCAAs. They contain rhodiola rosea and allow for intra workout neutralization of these damaging species that are produced from the high functional activity of your mitochondria. And yeah, so essentially that is the antioxidant activity. And there's another one that you get from a lot of berries. I think it's called anthocyanin, something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I'll post the name right here. I just read about that yesterday. And that is also another one that you can get from a lot of berries: cherries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. So it's really good to stick with berries as well as a source of nutrients. So anyway guys, these are the three main functional micronutrients that I think people need to understand, and these are so important that if you kind of cover all of these, then you're going to make sure that your gut is very healthy. Dieting down will be very healthy, will be very much easier, and will be a lot more energetic and pleasurable. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe, please like, and stay tuned for the next video.